Ned.
Hello, Marge. What do we have today?
Oh, let's talk about corruption.
Oh, that's good. Corruption in the Philippines.
Hi Rose,
Hi, Al.
good morning. Today, let's talk about hot topics.
About public procurement and
How does corruption occurs in the Philippines? Corruption in the Philippines. Generally speaking, is the abuse of entrusted power for private gain. Corruption can be classified as grand, petty, and political, depending on the amounts of money lost and the sector where it occurs. Grand corruption consists of acts committed at a high level of government that distort policies or the central functioning of the state, enabling leaders to benefit at the expense of the public good. Petty corruption refers to everyday abuse of entrusted power by low and mid-level public officials in their interactions with ordinary citizens who often are trying to access basic goods or services in places like hospitals, schools, police departments, and other agencies.
Public procurement. There is a very high risk of corruption in the public procurement sector, which is subject to rampant corruption, irregularities, and inconsistent implementation of legislation. Likewise, more than a fifth of business reports they expect to give in order to win a government contract. 2 in 5 companies indicate the most companies in their sector give bribes in order to win contracts. Diversion of public funds as well as favoritism in the decisions of public officials is very common.
Land administration. Corruption risk in land administration are high. 2 out of companies report expecting to give gifts when obtaining construction permit. Property rights are formally recognized and protected in the Philippines, but in practice, the law is not always upheld. Business have insufficient confidence in the protection of property rights. Corruption, arbitrariness in the application of the law are common. Multiple agencies are responsible for right administration, which has led to overlapping procedure for the valuation of registration. This made the process costly. The court system is too slow to resolve land disputes. Land's records are not properly managed due to lack of trained personnel and funds. Foreigners are not allowed to directly own land, but they may lease land for 50 years with a possible one-time extension of 25 years. Expiration possible under Philippine law. The law calls for fair.
custom administration. There is a high risk of encountering corruption with dealing with the customs administration. Companies indicates that the irregular bribes in payments and import and export procedures are very common. A business survey indicates that the Bureau of Customs, or BOC, was the only agency receiving a rating of very bad when it came to its commitment to fighting corruption. Companies cite burdensome import procedures and corruption as border as being among the most problematic factors for importing. The efficiency and time predictability of procedures are rated as poor. Border compliance costs in the Philippines are significantly higher than the regional average, whereas the time required is in line with the regional average.
Government corruption has allowed mining companies to evade government regulations, which has resulted in large-scale deforestation, flattened mountain tops, and water pollution. New York Times, April 2017, Secretary of the Environment Gina Lopez shut down 28 of the country's 41 mining companies for polluting the environment. New York Times, April 2017, however, Lopez was removed from her job by Congress in May 2017 after mounting complaints from the pro-mining lobby, Mining.com, May 2017.
Corruption on natural resources. Companies operating in the natural resources sector face a high risk of corruption. The Philippines has shown marked improvements in its natural resource governance in the past few years. The country has a good enabling environment, and its regulatory quality and control of corruption are judged as adequate. However, poor value realization and revenue management has caused the country's overall resource governance to be judged as weak. The Philippines has been working to achieve compliance with the Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative since joining in 2013. Some mining contracts are publicly disclosed via EITI portal, whilst transparency in the sector has improved. For regulations and overlapping policies, responsibilities between local and central governance have meant that small-scale mining is still a contentious issue.
There is a high risk of corruption when dealing with the police. The National Police Force is widely regarded as one of the most corrupt institutions in the country. Reported in the ABS-CBN in January 2017, report of the police military engaging in corruption, extortion, and being involved in local rackets are widespread. Companies report that they cannot rely on the police services. More than half of firms pay for private security.
Corruption on judicial system. Corruption risks are high in judicial system. Bribes and irregular payments in return for favorable judicial decisions are common. The judiciary is formally independent, but rich and powerful have frequently influenced proceedings in civil and criminal cases. Procedural fairness and transparency are severely undermined by nepotism, favoritism, and impunity.
Tax administration.
Public services.
Tax administration. There is a high risk corruption with dealing with the tax administration. Around 1 in 7 companies indicate they expect to give gifts in meeting with tax officials. Tax regulation are among the most problematic factors for the conducting business in the Philippines. Companies indicate that they preserve not only a fifth of business in their lines of the business pay their taxes honestly.
Public services. Philippine official involved in the processing documents related to civil and property registration and building permits are more likely to solicit bribes compared to official dealing with other type of resources. Inefficient. Government bureaucracy is ranked as the most problematic factors for doing business in the Philippines. Civil servants often do not have the resources or abilities to fulfill their tasks free from corruption and red tape. Furthermore, civil servants are generally not reunited in a competitive manner. Appointments are based on a practice of patronage.